sun had long set over Lagos, but inside the grand church of Living Word Ministry, the air was thick with something that made the hairs on the back of your neck stand. The congregation was singing praises, their voice rising higher, but there was a strange stillness hanging in the room, a tension that no one dared to speak of. Pastor Moromuyo stood at the pulpit, a radiant smile and graceful gesture, masking the darkness beneath her skin. To the people who filled the church, she was nothing short of a miracle. They had witnessed her deliverance services, the miracles of healing the blind, the deaf hearing, and the crippled walking. They marveled at her power, never questioning how such a woman could hold so much influence, so much control. She is a good servant of God, the people will say, praising her. Until one day, a beautiful, brave young woman named Jumoke walked into the grand auditorium of Living Word Ministry for the first time, and an unexpected chill ran through her spine. The church was massive, with golden chandeliers hanging from the ceiling and soft worship song filling the air. Thousands of worshippers dressed in their finest clothes, moving with their eyes closed, lost in the presence of God. But Jumoke, for some reason, felt no peace. She rubbed her arms, trying to shake off the sudden coldness that had settled in her bones. It was strange. The heat outside had been almost unbearable. Yet, inside this place of worship, filled with people, she felt as though she had stepped into a shadowy world. She turned her glance to the altar. There she was. Pastor Moromuyo stood in a flowing white gown, her dark skin glowing under the bright light. She was a woman of grace, a woman of power. Everyone in Lagos knew of her. Stories of her miracles spread like wildfire. How she had opened the blind's eyes, healed the sick, and delivered thousands from demonic oppressions. People come to the church from far and wide for deliverance. Jumoke watched as Moromuyo stretches out her hands towards the congregation. A waves of murmuring prayers filled the air. The moment Moturayo opened her mouth to speak, her voice rang like a bell. The Lord is here. The crowd erupted, people clapping, shouting, and fell to their knees, overcome by the presence of the Spirit. But Jumoke remained frozen in place. The coldness in her bones deepened. Something was wrong, very wrong. She didn't know why, but she could feel it. Jumoke sat quietly at the back of the massive church, her arms folded as she observed everything around her. The energy in the Living Word Ministry was overwhelming. People fell under the power of prayer, rolling on the floor, screaming and shaking. The choir sang with such passion that the walls seemed to vibrate with their voice. At the center of it stood Pastor Moturayo. She moved gracefully across the altar, a long white robe flowing behind her like a spirit floating in the air.
She lay her hands on the sick, and they fell instantly, their body convulsing. The ushers ran to catch them before they fell to the floor. "Power!" someone shouted. "Mommy is filled with the Spirit," another voice cried out. Jumoke's fingers shook. She had been in many churches before, but something about this place felt so unnatural. It was not fear she felt, it was coldness, an airy chill that runs deep in her bones. She glanced around. The other members didn't seem to feel it. They were too busy worshiping Eyes closed, hands lifted up. She looked back at Pastor Moturayo on the altar, and for the briefest moment, she saw something. It was quick, so quick that she almost doubted herself. Pastor Moturayo's eyes flashed not with the warm glow of the chandeliers, but with something else, something reptile. Jumoke's breath caught in her throat. She blinked rapidly, but Pastor Moturayo's was already moving, laying hands on another person. I must be imagining things, she told herself, but deep down in her heart, she knew she had seen it, and whatever it wasn't human.
Jumoke couldn't shake the feeling. Even after she left the church that evening, the coldness stayed with her. It was strange. Lagos was hot, as always, yet she felt like she had stepped into a place where the sun did not shine. She sat by the window of the yellow bus that took her home, staring out at the moving streets. People were everywhere, cars shouting, car horns, children laughing, but she felt disconnected from it all. Her mind kept replaying what she had seen. Her eyes, she said, that flicking of something in Pastor Moturayo's eyes. It has been real. It wasn't a trick of the light. It wasn't her imagination. It was real. She shivered. When she got home, her elder sister, Inspector Adebimpe, was already there, dressed in her usual police uniform, ready for work. "You are late," Adebimpe said, setting down a mug of tea. "I went to a church program," Jumoke replied, sitting on the edge of the sofa. Adebimpe raised an eyebrow. "That's new. You don't go to church often." Jumoke sighed. This one was different. It is Living Word Ministry, the one led by Pastor Moturayo. Adebimpe's eyes changed. "That woman, the miracle worker." Jumoke nodded slowly. "Yes." Adebimpe leaned forward. "So what do you see?" Jumoke stated, "I don't know, but something is not right in that place." The room fell silent for a moment. Then Adebimpe gave a small chuckle. "Jumoke, it is a big church. Of course it will feel different." "No," Jumoke whispered. "It is not the size. It is something else. When I was there, I felt cold. It wasn't normal cold. It was deep. She swallowed. "And then I saw something. Just for a moment." Moturayo's eyes, they changed. Adebimpe frowned. "Changed how?" "They looked like an animal's eyes, like a snake." The words hung in the air between them. Adebimpe sighed. "You need rest." "Maybe it was just a trick of the light," she said, patting Jumoke's shoulder, and went to work. But Jumoke wasn't sure, and deep down, she knew she had to return to that church, but she knew she should stay away from it. Everything in her heart told her that Living Word Ministry was not a place of light, but that was exactly why she had to go back. She wants to know the secrets behind Moturayo's miracles, behind the thousands of worshippers who called her Mommy in the Lord. So on Sunday morning, she returned. The church was even more crowded than before. Cars lined the streets, and people in expensive clothes walked towards the golden gate of the church. Inside, ushers guided worshippers to their seats. The air smelled of expensive perfumes and anointing oil. Jumoke found a seat at the back and watched. Pastor Moturayo was already on the altar. She was dressed in a royal blue, her head high, her voice like a song as she preached. "The Lord is here," she declared, stretching out her hands. The congregation shouted. "The Lord is moving," she cried out. People fell to their knees, weeping. Jumoke clenched her fist. The air was thick with energy, but was it truly God's power she was feeling, or was it something else? She closed her eyes, trying to pray, but instead of peace, all she felt was that same deep goodness. She opened her eyes quickly, and then she saw it again. For the briefest moment, Motoya's tongue flicked too fast for a woman's tongue. It was snake-like, slippery, out and back in before anyone could see. Jumoke's heart slammed against her chest. She had to be seeing things, but she wasn't. Something inside her screamed at her to leave, but she stayed, because now she was certain Moturaya was not who she claimed to be. That night, Jumoke couldn't sleep. She laid in bed, staring at the ceiling, her heart pounding. The images from the church repeated in her mind. Motoya's flicking tongue, the strange coldness, the way people collapsed under her touch. It wasn't normal, she said. She turned to her side and glanced at the clock. 1:47 a.m. The night was silent, but her spirit was restless. Something told her that if she truly wanted to uncover the story,
To uncover the truth, she needed to see Pastor Moturaya when the world was not watching.
the thought made her shiver, but her curiosity was stronger than her fear. At night, alone, by 2:15 a.m., she was outside her apartment, dressed in dark clothes, her heart hammering against her ribs. She flagged down a motorcycle and gave the rider the address of the church. He gave her a strange look. "Sister, you won't go church for this time?" She forced a sign. "Yes, it is an all-night prayer." The man grumbled but drove off, cutting through the empty Lagos streets. The air was thick with the smell of burning trash and the distant sound of dog barking echoing in the night. When they got close to the Living Word Ministry, Jumoke told him to stop a little distance away. She walked the rest of the way, her sandals silent against the pavement. The church was dark, the grand golden gate was locked, and the massive church looming over her like a sleeping beast, the only light coming from the large cross at the top, glowing softly in the darkness. Jumoke's breath came slow and shallow. She was about to turn back when she heard something. A voice, faint, whispering. She pressed her body against the outer wall of the church and peeped through a narrow gap. Inside the church, the altar was bathed in pale blue light, and standing there at the center of the empty church was Pastor Moturaya, dressed in a white garment. But she wasn't alone. Around her, shadows moved, beautiful women of different colors and tribes. They dressed in a white garment with a snake tail and hissed in a language that sent chills down Jumoke's spine. And then Moturaya spoke. "The time is near," she whispered. Her voice was different, deeper, almost like two voices speaking at once. "More souls must be taken. More must bow before us. The Master is waiting." The shadows around her eased in approved. Jumoke's entire body turned to ice. Her worst fear was true. Moturaya was not just a false pastor. She was something else, something evil. She had to run. She had to. Her foot slipped against a stone, and the sound echoed through the silent night. For a moment, everything froze. Then, Motoya's head snapped towards the sand, her glowing eyes locking onto Jumoke's hidden spot. She had been seen. One voice echoing in her mind says, "Run!" Jumoke didn't wait, she ran. Her heart pounded wildly as her feet slapped against the pavement. The night was eerily silent, except for the icy sand behind her. She didn't dare look back. She knew what she would see. They were coming, her lungs burning as she ran towards the main road. If she could just make it to the street, she could find a bike or a taxi, anything to get her far away from Living Word Ministry. But then, the sound crawling around her like a rope, sending chills through her spine. Something moving fast behind her. The air around her grew colder. She turned her head just for a second, and she saw them. Dark figures, their eyes burning with an eerily red glow, glistening over the ground like they had no feet. They didn't run, they didn't walk, they slithered. And at the center of them, moving gracefully in a white robe, was Pastor Motunrayo. But she no longer looked like the beautiful woman from the altar. Her eyes greeny yellow, her tongue flicked, her fingers were longer, sharper. Jumoke gasped, her legs moving faster, faster than she had ever run before. She saw the dim glow of street lights ahead. Almost there, but before she could reach, something grabbed her ankle. Cold, slim, strong. She screamed as she fell forward, her body hitting the hard ground. Dust filled her mouth as she coughed and struggled. The grip tightened. It was not a hand, it was something else. Something long, something scaly. Jumoke kicked wildly, thrashing like a trapped bird. And then a car approached. The headlights cut through the darkness, washing over her body. In that moment, the grip loosened. The hissing stopped. Jumoke wasted no time. She scrambled to her feet and ran straight to the road, waving her hands. The car stopped. The driver, a middle-aged man, rolling down the window. "Are you mad? What are you doing in the middle of the road?" "Please," Jumoke gasped, her chest rising and falling. "Help me, please." The man frowned. He looked past her into the darkness, but there was nothing there. No figures, nothing. Just an empty road leading to the church. He turned back to her, shaking his head. "You young girls and your wahala. Enter the car before I change my mind." Jumoke didn't argue. She jumped inside, slamming the door shut. As the car drove off, she dared to steal one last glance at the church. And there, standing at the gates, watching her leave, was Motunrayo. She didn't look angry. She didn't look scared. She simply smiled. A knowing, chilling smile, as if to say, "Run all you want, you can't escape." Jumoke turned away, pressing her hand over her mouth to stop herself from screaming. This was no longer just a suspicion. She had seen the truth, and now she was in danger. The car sped down the dark streets of Lagos, but Jumoke couldn't relax. Her hands gripped the seat as though it was the only thing anchoring her to reality. Her eyes drifted back towards the rear view mirror, half expecting to see the dark figures pursuing her, but the road behind was empty. The driver noticed. "You okay?" he asked, glancing at her in the mirror. Jumoke nodded quickly. "I am fine, just tired." "Right," he murmured, not entirely convinced, but he didn't press her further. The car turned a corner, and the church Living Word Ministry disappeared from view. Still, the chill in Jumoke's bone won't leave her. When the car pulled up in her apartment, she didn't hesitate. She paid the driver, jumped out and ran up the stairs to her flat. She didn't even stop to look back. The door to her apartment slamming shut behind her. Inside, she locked the door and collapsed against it, breathing heavily. Jumoke, Adebimpe's voice came from the kitchen. Jumoke didn't answer. She sank to the floor, trembling. Minutes later, Adebimpe appeared in the doorway, her face concerned. "What happened to you? You look like you have seen a ghost." Jumoke barely heard her. Her thoughts were still showing the vision of Motunrayo's growing eyes burning into her mind. Her chest rose and fell as she fought to regain control. "Jumoke," Adebimpe asked, kneeling in front of her. Jumoke couldn't talk because the weight of what she has witnessed at Living Word Ministry still clung to her, suffocating her with the fear that Motunrayo was coming for her. Her mind was clouded with the horrifying image of the woman, the so-called pastor. She was not who she claimed to be. Jumoke had to tell Adebimpe. She had to make sure her sister knew the truth, but she was scared. "I went back to the church," Jumoke whispered, "and I saw Pastor Motunrayo. She was not who she says she was. She's something else, something evil." Adebimpe frowned. Her face softened with concern. "You need to calm down. It is just a church. You're tired, maybe stressed from work. These things—" "No," Jumoke interrupted, her voice shaking. "I'm not imagining it. I saw her. I saw her and some woman in church. Her voice was checked, but she froze mid-sentence. From the corner of her eyes, she saw something dark moving behind her sister. She turned slowly, and there, standing behind her sister, was Pastor Motunrayo. The woman's smile was wide and knowingly, her eyes gleaming with sickening yellow glow. The air grew heavy, colder, and Jumoke's throat tightened as she tried to breathe. "No, no, this can't be," she whispered, her voice barely a breath. "What's wrong?" Adebimpe asked, scared. "What's going on, Jumoke? You won't get away with this," Jumoke finally managed to shout, but even she wasn't sure she believed it. Motunrayo's smile only grew. Her eyes flicked with dark amusement. She was a snake, a creature of the shadows, and Jumoke was already in her trap. Before Jumoke could react, Motunrayo moved, closing the distance between them in a blink. The room around her blurred. She felt her breath catching in her chest. As the air grew thick, she gasped, struggling to take a breath, but it was as if the life was being drained from her. Her body went weak, and her knees buckled beneath her. She could hear Motunrayo's laugh, low and uncertain, as she felt herself fall, as if the earth itself had vanished beneath her. The world went black,
and her final breath left her lips in a small gasp. Jumoke was dead. Adebimpe shouted her name continuously, shaking her dead body. "Jumoke, Jumoke, Jumoke, wake up! What will happen next?"
Will Adebimpe be able to get revenge for her sister Jumoke, or will she choose to remain in silence because of her fear of Motunrayo's power? Subscribe to find out, and stay tuned for the part 2. Remember to subscribe, like, share and comment for more stories like this. Thank you.